Boogity boogity, welcome back to Rubbin is Racing with
Oh,
Spider and
switching it up
Large.
this week.
You like that, Quigs?
Yeah, just never heard you do that.
Well, usually I don't host this show, believe it or not. Despite being billed first, as Large always mentions. Large actually looks a little bit different this week. Large, how we doing?
Good, man. Been out with the wife and the kids, got some sun. My beard actually got darker as well, so it's crazy how that works, how sun works.
Large and Moonhead are at a No Kings rally, but we're pumped to have Dylan Mamba Smith in his place. Mamba, how we doing?
I'm good, boys. How are you? Another day in the life, watching race cars go around in circles.
I love it. Every time we have an absence, whether it be myself or Large, you're the first phone call we make, and we're always
Wow.
gracious and happy to
That's
have
love.
you on the show. I know you got a new kind of role this year with the Ram stuff. Talk to me about what's going on with that and what you've been up to start this season out.
Yeah, no, Ram obviously is back. Stellantis has brought that brand back to NASCAR. I guess it's kind of the first time Ram's been here because it was Dodge before, and it was Dodge Ram, and then they split. So now it's anyway. That's semantics. We don't need to get into all that. But I've been on the mic for him, hosting, setting up interviews. Like if you guys want come to the racetrack and you want to do, mess around with us, you come through. We do a little interview, and then we got this burnout truck. So we have a Craftsman Truck Series truck from Colleague that we do burnouts with in the midway, and then we got the Raminator, which is a monster truck that they run in Monster Jam. So that thing's parked there, and then we got T-shirts for free. We're giving away $100,000 to somebody at the end of the year, and we did at Darlington. We did thrill rides, so we were jumping people in the Ram RHOs.
I saw that.
That was
awesome.
that was brother. I was puckered. I'm not gonna lie. I did that ride like 12 times, and I was puckered the entire time.
I also saw the drift cars at Las Vegas. Was that something you got to be in? Were you wheeling that? Were you just watching? Were you riding? What was your level of involvement there?
Yeah, I wasn't a part of the drift cars in Vegas, but I used to manage that tour, which is Dodge Thrill Rides. So back when we had the Hellcat Chargers and Challengers, I was managing that tour, and we go to like Mecum auctions, Barrett Jackson's, whoever wanted us to come through, and it was free rides, bro. It was so lit. It was so lit.
That sounds awesome. I saw the drift car at Vegas when I was out there recently, and I just wanted to get in there or go for a ride myself. But yeah, well, maybe next time I'm at the track.
Do you think he can drive? Could he actually drift? Do you think if we gave him the right car or no?
I don't think so. I mean that how much like drifting is an insane like technique and skill, or is it? Could you kind of do it? He could probably do it uncontrolled. He could probably pull the e-brake and go into a turn.
That's what I normally do. When it's like when it was snowing out and I find a parking lot, like I used to just do a couple donuts. But drifting when it's like not snowing, I don't know about all that.
I tried to drift or not iRacing. What was that game we played, Spider?
Assetto Corsa?
Assetto Corsa. And it's impossible. The second the tires go out from behind you, there's no recovery.
Yeah, you need like Need for Speed Underground 2 or something to make it really work, right? Yeah.
Well, Quigs, also pumped to have you on the show. How's everything going in your world?
Thank you. Here every week. It's good. March Madness has been fun. Enjoying that. NC State just got a new coach. And yeah, everything's good in the racing world.
Are you making money on that, Quigs? Are you doing all right, or where are we at?
In gambling?
Yeah, well, I mean, March Madness, I figured you might have a deal.
No. I never make money. And if I do, the money it's like, if I made money up until this point, I'll be like, I'm putting a massive bet on the Final Four, and then I lose it. There's no making money. But I've lost little enough that it's been fun and enjoyable, and I've paid the entertainment cost without losing it all, which is always a win.
Okay.
Well, good to have the boys assembled for this week. We've also got Ryan Preece coming on the show, so stay tuned a little bit later in the episode for that interview. And before we get too far into it, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Body Armor. This episode is brought to you by Body Armor Flash I.V. Flash I.V. is packed with electrolytes delivering faster, longer lasting hydration without any dyes, flavors, or sweeteners. Whether you're training, traveling, or just feeling the heat, make sure you got a Body Armor Flash IV. Work hard and hydrate hard with Body Armor Flash IV. Grab one today at 7-Eleven. We appreciate Body Armor for their continued support of Rubbin is Racing.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. The NASCAR Sundays party went hard Sunday during the race, and we all needed that on Monday. So I might need to reach out to y'all. We might need that as a like going away gift from the watch party. It's like, here's a Body Armor IV.
I'm double fisting Body Armors right now. Mamba, one thing I always bring up on this show is that like whenever something goes down on pit road, even not Blaney's team, like other teams seemingly consume the body armor. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Well, it tastes so good for one. For two, just the ingredients in it is really good for you. So that's nice. And then like you don't feel draggy. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you're getting a sugar punch. You're getting like things that you really need, and like the coconut water that's in a lot of it is really good and healthy. So I think everyone likes it. And like honestly, everybody be walking by the Team Penske haulers and just going into their cooler.
I've done that before. Yeah, I'd love to see. We talk about how NASCAR can become more stars and whatnot. I've been watching March Madness, kind of following up two things we recently said, and but there's a Body Armor commercial that's been airing during March Madness, and it's narrated by Ryan Blaney. And at first I heard it, I was like, wait, what's going on here? Where do I know that voice from? And then immediately it clicked. So I think it's really cool just seeing that kind of crossover. But yeah,
he was one of their first athletes.
He was. And now they've carved out some awesome athletes. But like you said, Quigs, we're coming off a great weekend of racing. I wanted to get your guys' take and feedback following what we saw at Martinsville. What was your reaction to the finish there? Mamba, let's start with you.
Oh man, well, you gotta give Alan Gustafson a lot of credit for having the cojones to make a call like that. Because they were gonna have a good day, and then they flipped a good day into a great day. So being able to make that pit call, kind of go for it. But that's what we like to see. Like when you're getting your ass kicked by another team, like Denny's 11 group was, they were dominating. So when you're the rest of the competitors, you gotta try something different because the status quo hasn't been working, right? So you got to kind of send one in, and they did that, and Chase did a great job keeping the lead. He had a good restart there. Denny spun his tires, and then that kind of got him shuffled back a little bit. That really helped him there. But I think one thing that I don't know has been talked about enough, we didn't really get into it on our show, is that when you're leading the race like that and you're dominating, it's really hard to work on your car. Like it's really hard to like make big adjustments to stay in front of the competition because you're been in front of them all day. So it's kind of a disadvantage. Your advantage can become a little bit of a disadvantage. And I think that happened a little bit with the 9 group. Like they're like, okay, we're quite a bit behind the 11. We got to take some swings here. And when they got into the front, were able to control the race. Those swings they took really paid off. And I think that little difference, because Denny was still fast at the end, but it just seemed like he couldn't close that gap enough to get there.
Yeah. And my bad, Mamba. I did you no justice on the introduction here. Dylan Mamba Smith, co-host of the Happy Hour podcast with Kevin Harvick. I buried the lead there, Mamba. So
hey, it's all good, man. Listen, I got a lot of jobs. You hit the Ram one, so you can't hit them all. You know what I mean? I got a lot of jobs.
That's right. So I guess my question is, well, Quigs, let me ask you first. What was your reaction seeing that race? I mean, it seemed like Denny was dominant the whole day. And then, he wasn't the guy who won. So
yeah, I mean, it's not that much different than Mamba. It was one of those races that through the first 2 stages, it's like Denny's going to run away with this. Like if everybody does the same thing that they did in the first 2 stages, Denny wins the race. He's just going to be in front. And it was guys having to get creative, and Chase got the opportunity and then was good enough to hold on to it. But yeah, no, I've seen more exciting races. This one was pretty cut and dry, but at least we had that wrinkle, which I guess we'll probably get into, like where you're gonna ask, like, did Chase steal the win, or did Chase steal the win, or whatever? But it's like, I don't know. It's we would have been complaining if Denny went wire to wire, and we would have said it was more boring than it was. Like, we can't have it both ways.
Mamba, what do you got?
Bro, that's so okay. You guys see how I am on socials. Like I talk to everybody, and I like for better or for worse, right? But I like knowing the pulse of the community and
For sure.
what they feel. People, I guess I didn't look at it this week, but I guess Jeff Gluck's like, was this a good race? Poll got like 50%. I've talked to Jeff about this. I'm like, I think the poll has not run its course, but like that what we're asking people to do, I don't think they know. I don't think they know what like a really good race is versus like maybe not. You know what I mean? Like they're mad that it was boring per se, but that is literally what everyone's been wanting because they're like, we want racing back. It was in the 90s. That was a classic NASCAR stock car race.
Yeah.
Like if you don't like, and Coda was kind of the same way, and a lot of people didn't like Coda too. And I'm like, so you want what we have now, but you want what we had before, but you don't like what we had before because every time I show you what we had before, it's a boring race. No, like it's just a classic race, and there's not a whole lot of wrecks. Like if you're coming for the wrecks, like I get that, but like, you know what I mean? That's I don't know.
It's also like we talked about it too. It's also like the only sport where it's like you're grading like nobody's watching like Panthers Saints and then they're like grading the quality of the game after. It's just like you kind of get what you get sometimes. And I've had like I remember we had a big argument last year about like in the playoffs, and there were a lot of things that were like it was unfair that like this guy moved on to and it's like when has it ever been like fair? Right. Like it was
brother.
It's Duke, was that fair to Duke that they just whapped the 3 with like I don't know. It's not fair. Duke was better that game, but like I don't know. It's the racing world is just so weird where it's like everybody wants something, then they get what they want, and they want something different. Like they want the best race they've ever seen every weekend.
I know. Hey, I know. Spider, you're about to move into the next thing, but real quick, I'm telling y'all, watch what happens by the time the in-season challenge comes around, because the way the points will look, by the end of the year, people are gonna be like, damn. Let's just take Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece wins a race, right? Before we hit the chase, doesn't get in. People are gonna be like, damn. It would have been so cool if that win would have put Ryan Preece in. Watch, I'm telling you, that's gonna happen.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Mamba. You're absolutely right. People always want what they can't have. And you know, this weekend, one thing that I noticed watching was like prior to the race starting, everyone was seemingly like romanticizing Martinsville on Twitter. And this is a place I've been. I've had the hot dogs. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great place. And that being said, compared to like Twitter's expectation and then like the poll results or whatever results you kind of that underwhelming feeling following the race that I kind of came away with. I'm curious to know, and Mamba, you're probably the guy to answer this question. Is there any other track like that comes to mind that's like super, like romanticized or spoken highly of, and then the racing there just leaves so much to be desired? Because that's unfortunately kind of what I get with Martinsville. Historic, awesome track. I love the layout. I love the paperclip. I love the history surrounding it. But then it's just like, I don't know. It leaves a little bit to be desired.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, we really talk up Kansas, and sometimes Kansas is a dud. You know what I mean? But like sometimes they're just a dud. Like when you go to local short track, and you're like, man, I love local short track racing. I wish this is what was on Sunday. What I see the Cars Tour do is not that much different than what I see on Sunday. Like, I don't really see a big difference. This is the racing that I've always come up and watched and remember watching. I think that there are moments that are great, and then those moments make us think, oh, this place is great. Now, old Bristol, everyone, bottom feeding and, rooting and gouging, like that was every race. And then we switched it because they got the progressive banking in there and it changed the groove. So like when you watch commercials of Bristol, it's like old Bristol, not new Bristol. So that's like a little bit of a, it kind of gets in your head a little bit. But like, I just think some racetracks can be great. We can have good races at tracks that we don't think are that great, and we can have bad ones that think that are great. And like even a Daytona Talladega, you know what I mean? talk so much now about them saving fuel. Well,
Yeah.
okay. I'd rather them, I guess, save fuel 3 wide than save fuel single file around the top 40 cars deep. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just kind of knowing so much, kind of when you know more about life, Spider, it kind of can ruin a little bit more about life for you. You
Yeah,
know what I
it's
mean?
like what's the I can't think of the term, but like once you have one question, you think of 100 more or something like that. But
You
Yeah.
give a mouse a cookie?
maybe I don't know. We're gonna move on. I want to go back to something you said, Mamba. You said the Gluck poll should maybe be retuned or something like that. Should we even put stock in these polls? Like, I want your guys' opinion on that. If you're like the NASCAR upper management, are you even caring what these numbers are week after week, and is it weighing on you?
Quids, I mean, for me, bro, I would not. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a fun thing to do. It gets people
Yeah,
talking. But unfortunately, I think like if you ask um people in the garage how they felt about that race, they're like, man, that was a classic race. Like, we liked it. Da, da, da. That poll shows different. So like, I think it's a fun thing to do, but I wouldn't put a ton of stock in it either way, personally.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I like to look at it and kind of see where it compares, but I mean, I don't know. For the most part, and I'm also like, you kind of get a live feel for it if you're like on Twitter during the race, how things are going. Um, but I'm not like watching a race, seeing the poll has a different
I mean,
opinion than me. But I don't know. There is like you ever like listen to an album for the first time and it's like you're reading other people's reviews and they kind of convince you that
That it
yeah,
sucks.
a song was kind of good. And you're like, yeah, actually, I first listen I didn't get it, but now I kind of like it. Now that like everybody says it's the best song on there.
absolutely. But
There probably is a
50%
little bit of that.
is a big number. And I know it's kind of like around that. It might not be exactly 50% right now, but at the time of putting this together, it was
And
around
all
50.
the chase wins always get a little bump. People
Well,
just
so that's
That's
kind of
surprising
why
too.
I'm asking. Do you think that number was skewed because Chase won, or maybe like which way was it skewed? Was it voted no because people wanted to see Denny win? And I guess following up off that, what do you think would have been the better storyline this week? Was it Chase kind of winning the final stage, like pulling it out there at the final stage on the restart? Or would it have been just a day of Denny Hamlin dominating? As NASCAR fans, which would each of you prefer?
Quick, you go ahead, bro.
I mean the chase one, like the chase winning adds a wrinkle to the race. Like beyond that, it's and like I don't know. There's nothing wrong with being the man and leading every lap and winning. Like that's everybody's goal every week, I'm sure. But um, I don't know if that happened, it wouldn't. Denny leading that whole race would not have made the race better or more enjoyable. Maybe
Yeah.
it'd be more fair or I don't know. But like that doesn't make for a better viewing product. So I'm happy with Chase winning it. I mean, he held on to the lead for long enough that like it wasn't just like a fluke that he got up
Yeah.
there in an overtime restart and won the race. Like,
And we got to see Denny try to run him down, which was cool.
yeah,
Ultimately didn't work, but Mamba, where's your head at?
I think we gotta we gotta really pay attention, like as fans, is like, okay, am I mad because my guy didn't win? Am I mad because somebody I don't like won? Or am I mad because it was actually like not a good race? So Denny Hamlin dominating this used to happen all the time. Used to happen all the time. People would dominate. And I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'd rather not. Like, it's more fun when there's 3, 4 guys in the mix. But it was a different type of race, and I think Chase winning was a better storyline. I think Chase grinding one out. I think the call from the pit box was huge because it lets you know how much of a team sport NASCAR racing really is, and everybody has to do their job and pull together. I guess maybe even Denny might have even had a loose wheel towards the end that he was kind of dealing with. So goes back to that team aspect. So I think Chase winning is a better storyline. I do think that dominance is gonna happen a little bit more in this form of racing and with the chase just because you can't risk near as much, right? You saw Bubba got into it with Holsevar. He was going to finish probably 12th to 15th. Not great, but whatever. But he finished 36th because he got pissed.
Yeah.
And that dropped him to 11th in points. Like DNFs in this thing are just like the absolute killer. And like as we get further along in the season, the points gaps are going to spread apart, and you're not going to be able to just make those up with one race at a time.
For sure. And that leads me into my next question I had for you guys. I mean, Hocevar and Bubba Wallace, big contact. One, do you guys think there was any intent or, like, was this a reactionary move to maybe a racing move that happened a couple laps previous that wasn't captured by the broadcast TV? And two, I mean, Bubba going down 8 spots. I'm going to give you my opinion first. I'm going to say that this just got away from him because I don't think Bubba would have lost his cool and screwed himself that much. He went from 3rd to 11th on the standings right now. And then Hocevar, another guy who's been running great, down 2 spots as well. So a hot start to the season for both of them. And then now Rex. What do you guys make of it? Intent or not?
I think I think Bubba lost to school, and I mean I think he like Hocevar has been a gnat to everyone this entire season, and I think he tried to get into him and ended up kind of screwing himself over and got the worst of it. I don't think Bubba intended to whatever he was doing there for it to end his day, but I think he lost his cool and paid for it big time by how much he dropped.
Yeah, bro. I love my boy. He's one of my best friends. But like the one thing I will give him, the interesting part about it was after the interview, he was so calm and so collected in the interview. He's like, "Yeah, I really didn't mean to do that, misjudge it." So I'm like, I'm gonna sit here and I'm not gonna call Bubba a liar. I'm gonna be like, "That's what he said. Take it for what you want. Regardless, we have SMT. If you want to go look at it and break down every single thing that these guys do, then take all the fun out of the human element and I guess go do that." But like, it can't happen either way because it smoked you in the points. So you can't. You got to take what you're given. And I think a couple of things. One, the pressure for Bubba is mounting a little bit, like to win. Right. I think and not outside pressure. I think he's putting that on himself because he looks across the shop and the 45 has won 4 races this year. And like probably two or three of them, Bubba was right there to win as well, and he didn't win the race. And then 2, Holsevar is kind of an easy target, like Quiggs was saying. Like everyone's been talking about him for 2 years. Like when's someone going to handle this guy? And I think the Martinsville's a really good track for Bubba. He really likes running that racetrack, and they won practice, qualified. They qualified okay, not as good as they practiced. But then in the race, it just wasn't working. And I think at that point in the race, he was just mad. Got put 3 wide on the restart. Oh, it's that kid in the 77. F this kid. Shipped him. And then it was like, oh, that wasn't worth it type situation. So it's like you can't have it done. I'm not gonna call him a liar, but like you just gotta keep your head on you with its point system. Because like if you do that again, bro, you might be out of the top 16. Like the mulligans are not nearly as much as they used to be.
Yeah, and that brings up an interesting question. I mean, we've seen like Quiggs called Carson Hocevar a gnat, and I kind of like that analogy. And I truly feel that a lot of the Cup Series is probably annoyed by him, whether it be the moves he makes or the speed he has, and they don't. So yeah, but my question, following up, last thing I got, I guess, is: do you guys think this will trickle over into weeks future? Or is this something like Mamba's saying that needs to be buried now and just lock in and focus? And who will be the first? Well, I guess who will be the next to kind of like have their way with Carson Hocevar?
I mean, I don't think this exact scenario will trickle over, but like Hocevar is going to be in the field for the rest of the season, and he's going to piss some people off, and he gets away with a lot of them. Like he does a lot of things, and I mean, like retaliation is hard. Like it's easy to say, like he's gonna get with it, but like I don't know, like you saw with Bubba, like sometimes retaliation just isn't worth it, and you got to race your own race. But there'll be a day where somebody's not having it, and like a I don't know, like a Kyle Busch, like just having an
He's a
awful
good pick.
day, and Hocevar is doing something, and Bush is a lap down and doesn't give a fuck that day. Like he might send him a little to try to teach him a lesson, um, but this actual scenario, the Hocevar Bubba, I don't think anything really
Comes of it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those deals that Carson's gonna remember it, and honestly, it might trickle over because Carson doesn't care. It might trickle over in a way that's like not like wildly thought out, but if you're in his way, he already doesn't care.
That is true. I
And
was kind of thinking more about like people being mad at Hocevar, but yeah, I mean, I guess Hocevar was the one that got
yeah,
is deserving to give the revenge.
yeah,
And
yeah. But
that
the thing
yeah,
is like he's owed that.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like yeah, maybe like there was a lot of Carson fans that were mad, like because obviously your guy got taken out, but keep that same energy because your guy be taking out folks too. So like he didn't do anything wrong to get taken out this time. But like Bubba just went to the bank. He's like, well, you got a couple slips here that you haven't paid for, so I'm just gonna take it. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, that's kind of how that happens sometimes.
I love that. All right, so before we put Martinsville in the rear view, is there anything else you guys wanted to call out from that race? Any other flowers you wanted to give? I know personally, I'm calling out Ty Gibbs. I thought he did a great job, and he's had a great start to the season thus far.
Yeah.
SVG is starting to put together some good finishes on some tracks he's not supposed to be good at yet.
Yeah, he's ahead of schedule, I think.
He was 11th and like held that position pretty well all race. I'm keeping an eye on him.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get into some headlines, but before we do, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Blue Chew. The future of erectile function is here. Blue Chew Gold is changing the way millions of men are having sex in 2026. The new arousal boosting formula combines passion and performance into one tablet that dissolves under your tongue for super fast onset. No more waiting for a pill to kick in. No more moments ruined by performance anxiety. Just the results you want when you want them. Most ED meds are focused on blood flow, but Blue Chew Gold goes further by combining two ingredients for blood flow with two for mental arousal and connection. So you're not just physically ready, you're actually in the mood. This type of innovation is why Blue Chew Gold is the #1 brand in erectile function. Check that. The process is simple and all online. Get started today at bluechew.com and go for gold. Turbocharge your love life and make it easy to get hard. Discover your options at bluechew.com. And we have a special for our listeners. Right now, when you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get a third for free with promo code Rubbin. Ironic. That's promo code RUBBIN Rubbin. Visit bluechew.com for more details and more safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast.
Yo, they talk about making it easy to get hard. Like that was a hard read, bro.
It was.
Yeah, that was a lot. Like, good job on you.
It was a little bit of a word jumble, but yeah, no, I'm getting a little bit of empathy because typically Large hosts this show, and just all I have to do is just give some uninformed NASCAR opinions. Which, by the way, I do word vomit a lot of times. Especially, I was listening back to last week's episode, and just I wish that someone caught me in real time. I was talking about the amount of Fords, specifically in the O'Reilly series, not in the Cup series. And I think I said Cup series. But like I said, last week, Martinsville, everything I said's in the rear view. We are focusing on what's going on right now. A couple headlines from this weekend. First of all, had a great time watching the O'Reilly series. I don't know if you guys were able to catch any of that. The story of the week, Lee Pulliam getting the call. And forgive me if I'm butchering that pronunciation. I'm still learning.
No, Lee Pulliam, you nailed it.
Lee Pulliam, yeah. So driving for Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets the call to drive the number 9 car in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Ultimately, finishes 5th in his fucking O'Reilly Car Series debut, whatever we're calling it nowadays. Impressive showing. Mamba, what can you tell us about Lee, and what was your take watching this story unfold and seeing this great result?
I expect nothing less from him. He's a dog. He's so good at driving stock cars, especially those kind, because the O'Reilly's cars and the late model stocks are basically built on the same type of technology. So he's great. He's a 4-time. I know this to a lot of our listeners this might be a little inside baseball, but he's like a 4-time national NASCAR local racing champion, which means all the NASCAR sanctioning tracks, they're all competing against each other. Those drivers are in a massive point system competing against each other. And he has won that championship 4 times. He's won Martinsville twice, I think. He's so good. And these are the things that we talk about when we're talking about guys not getting opportunities or not having the money, and they're still great, which is where this conversation on the NASCAR Hall of Fame came in last week, where it's like some of the best drivers you have never seen and you'll never know. But like if they had the money and the opportunity, they would. And so Lee got the Jerky Boys and that fencing company got on there and they sponsored this thing and he showed out. And you could tell all day their strategy was to get Lee in the right spot to win the race. Because if you notice, they were always offset on their pit strategy. I'm like, oh, I see what you guys are doing. If he doesn't get wrecked, he's gonna have a good shot to win this race. And he did.
Yeah. I know everyone, clamors for Dale Jr. to get back in the car and wheel it himself, but I think there's something really cool to be said about watching him during the race, kind of like from an owner's perspective. Even following the race, you see him dap up Gator following the win, and even during the race, after Lee Pulliam, which we're going to get to, I believe he missed a bad shift. Earnhardt got on the mic and was like, listen, let's lock back in here. Let's finish strong. And just the whole scenario from going to a guy who works behind the scenes for these drivers, helping other drivers perform, whether it be Butterbean, as good as they can. Shout out Butterbean. I got the kavroom there. And working with them, but to finally getting their own shot, and also simultaneously making a little bit of mistake despite driving their ass off all day. And then you're also getting that angle from Dale Jr., from an owner, where it's like, hey, let's finish strong here. Let's try not to damage any equipment. And then ultimately the celebration following his 5th place. I'm a sucker for loyalty and dues paid. And like you said, Dale Jr. offering opportunities to guys, whether it be Gator, who finished, who drove his the Traveler Whiskey car at the Daytona 500 2 years straight now. So, excuse me. It's no secret I'm a massive fan of Dale Jr. I love what he's doing. I love this move. And enough about Dale Jr. This isn't about Dale Jr. This is about Lee Pulliam finally getting an opportunity. And not only that, delivering on that opportunity, finishing 5th in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series in his debut, which I think is an unreal storyline. And that's probably the coolest thing I saw this weekend. But with that being said, I need to know, did he ruin some of the good graces in that storyline juju by missing a shift there at the end? I know that's regular in some of the other series, disciplines of racing. Quiggs, I want to start with you.
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things that's like, if certain people did it, you could almost get mad at them, and then I feel like you can't get mad here.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I'm not mad about it. I also wasn't in the race.
I'm not mad about it. I did think it was interesting after the race. I think it was maybe Austin Green, and he's a guy I'm not super familiar with, so bear with me if I'm got the name wrong. But I think he was critical, saying if we can't hit shifts, maybe we shouldn't be in O'Reilly. And he said it a little bit more politely. But ultimately, his day and a couple other drivers did get ruined potentially because of a missed shift. And it was interesting to me watching that race because Martinsville, you really don't expect to see kind of the big one style like parking lot wrecks, and then
they find a way in the O'Reilly series
they really
every
do,
time at
Mamba.
Martinsville to make it a parking lot.
They
Like,
really
do.
do.
I don't know how. They just seem to wreck, and then when they wreck, they're just like across the whole racetrack. I think, yeah, no, I don't think it takes away. You know what I mean? Racing's hard. This stuff's hard, man. And like to get it all right, and like in those moments, like he had it's not like he did it from like 5th or 6th or 7th.
Right.
He was he had a shot at winning the freaking race. And like the things that are going through his mind at that point, where he's got Justin Allgaier, who's been just clobbering the field all day. He's trying to beat him. Now he's on the top, right? He lost control of the race. So now Justin, Justin played it. Justin's a vet. He has some tricks in the sleeve and things to pull out of his bag on those restarts, and he got Lee on one of them. And I feel bad for everyone that got caught up in the wreck. I feel bad for Lee because I know he doesn't want to do that. But to be like, maybe he shouldn't be here. I'm like, bro, if Kevin Harvick got back into the O'Reilly series and missed a shift, which is exactly, he misses a shift. You think everyone's gonna be like, oh, maybe Kevin shouldn't be doing this anymore? Like, hell no, like, bro, like shit happens. You know what I mean?
I completely think you're right. And Mamba, and I almost called you Moonhead. Sorry, I completely think you're right,
that's
Mamba.
Crazy.
I completely think you're right, and I'm of the opinion it does not take away from the storyline. Like I said, I'm always rooting for Junior and Lee Pulliam. This was a great storyline to kind of be captured by this weekend, and I celebrated it. But in weeks past,
real quick. Sorry, I just thought about you. Made me think about Moonhead.
Yeah,
I do wish Moonhead was here just for the simple fact of the Max Reeves post race interview.
We're gonna get to that.
Race. Okay, good. Okay,
we're gonna get to that for sure. Don't worry. But yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think it takes away, but at the same time, we live in a current modern day NASCAR scenario where even if you're bringing 10 million subscribers to the track instead of a $10 million paycheck, people are going to be upset. They're going to scrutinize you. They're going to heavily vet you before they say, oh, you know what? This guy's allowed to race. I'm particularly talking about Cletus. And I know Lee and Cletus is apples to oranges, but I'm saying at this point in time, whether it be whoever, there's been 100 names we've discussed whether they are deserving, and it's only fair that, we talk about this as well. But I want the record to show I am in full support of Lee, and I hope he comes back and races again, especially following a 5th place finish. But you mentioned it earlier, and this leads me into a conversation. Again, Mamba, your guy, Kevin Harvick, this week was told by Mike Helton that he is eligible to be in the Hall of Fame in 2027. So first of all, congratulations to our guy, Kevin Harvick, to your guy, Kevin Harvick, one of the GOATs of the sport. Well-deserved. But that leads me into the segue of a topic that's been buzzing on the NASCAR airwaves recently. Should the Hall of Fame include lower-level drivers? And I need to know your guys' opinion on this. Now, we've heard, I'm heard from Dale Jr., who said, it's the Hall of Fame. It's not the NASCAR Cup Series Hall of Fame. Therefore, it should include lower-level legends that ultimately didn't shine at the highest level, whether that be Randy LaJoie or whoever else. Then you have guys on the other side of the table like Denny Hamlin, who are Denny and Travis, his producer. Shout out Travis, as much as I disagree with Travis, is of the opinion that the NASCAR Hall of Fame should exclusively be for guys that did it at the highest level, i.e. the Cup Series. I wanted to get your guys' position on that and where you stand in this debate that's sweeping the NASCAR nation.
I'll let Quiggs go first because my take might take a second.
Okay.
I mean, mine's pretty simple. Like there is something to getting to the highest level and doing it there. That majority of Hall of Famers are going to come from what they did in the Cup Series by default of just those are the guys that got to the highest level and did it. But like, I don't think it should be exclusive. And I think really like the determining factor is like, can you tell the story of NASCAR without this person or is he like a crucial part? Like did you have should Allgaier be in the Hall of Fame? Did you, or did I make that up?
No, well, that was the topic that originally triggered this discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, Dale said he should. Travis said he shouldn't.
Right.
Yeah, and so like with that, even I'd be like, I don't know how much I'd be like telling my kids like you had to see this Allgaier guy, like he was on like
Yeah.
I don't know if all like I'm on board of like Allgaier make it, but like 100% people that if you're like if it's something that you would like almost like have to tell somebody like back in the day, like this guy was unbelievable and he changed this and he did that, like I'm all for any level of NASCAR and um like as long as it's like somebody that truly like
Contributed.
contributed to
Yeah. Yeah. And
NASCAR.
I want to hear your take, Mamba, but I'm going to give mine quick too. And I tend to, I hate to just copy and paste Dale Jr.'s kind of argument, but to me, this discussion and debate was already settled years ago when the Hall of Fame was created. To me, their opportunity for this to be just the highest level Cup Series guys has came and gone. And it's not in our best interest to be like retroactively being like, oh, this guy doesn't deserve into the Hall of Fame. I think that only kind of creates a bad narrative for guys that have already been celebrated in this historic sport. I also think it's not really fair to compare it to something like baseball. I remember when I was a little kid growing up, baseball was my favorite sport. I'd watch with my dad every opportunity I could. And we'd always have conversations naturally. Dad, do you think this guy's making the Hall of Fame or no? And my dad was always pretty critical. And, you know, he would review these people on magnifying glass before admitting them. And he really was adamant that it should only be the best. And, you know, that if that was the case, that should have been the case years ago. At this point, I think it's in their best interest. NASCAR, I mean, there's so many cool people, like you said, Quiggs. You used the word contributed. And that is exactly what this is. As much as this is a sport built on individual success, there's so many people behind the scenes that contribute. I mean, we just got done talking and celebrating Lee Pulliam for what he did. And I'm not sitting here and saying he deserves in the Hall of Fame. But I'm saying is there's a lot more of the success that goes into just the guy wheeling the car. And I think it's important that those people be celebrated as well. So that's where I stand. I'm team our hands are tied at this point. Let anyone in who's contributed to whatever their respective discipline specifically is. And Mamba, I want to hear from you. Hopefully you agree.
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to say that I agree. And secondly, before I go into it, I don't want this to look like I'm bagging on Travis or anyone like Travis who is relatively more new to the sport because he doesn't know Ron Hornaday.
Yeah,
Right? He doesn't
and
know
Travis and I are
Dennis
pretty much the same in that regard. We are new fans.
Yeah. There's people that don't know, and that's on us to tell the story of how we got here. But you can't tell the story of the Craftsman Truck Series without Ron Hornaday Jr. I mean, he's a complete dog, like the king of the Truck Series, right? So when I look at Justin Allgaier, I really thought hard about this, and I'm like, okay, let me look at his stats. So he has only one championship, but he's 31st on the all-time win list. He's tied for 6th with 31 wins. Jack Ingram is who he's tied with. Jack Ingram is another guy who is just like pretty much just a legend at the O'Reilly's level. So like the Grand National level. Everybody else in the top 10 are Cup guys. So everybody else in the top 10 had more than 15 Cup wins that are in the top 10 of O'Reilly's wins. So that should tell you something. So then what I did, I went and looked at how many guys have plus 15 wins in the Cup Series. It's only 58. Like,
Yeah.
like that number is, and so when I think about that, I'm like, okay, so Ernie Irvan has 14 wins in the Cup Series. Do I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer? No, I do not. Right? So like 15 wins is a lot. It takes a lot to get to 15 wins. Here's the other part. If you didn't drive for Hendrick, Roush, Gibbs, or Penske, it was so hard for you to get to 15 plus wins if you didn't drive for one of those 4 organizations. And if you did, So all four of those teams weren't in the Cup Series until 1992. So basically talking like modern day racing, like pretty much like mid to late 80s to like now. So if you look back and you're like, whoa, what about David Pearson? It's like, well, yeah, David Pearson drove for the Wood Brothers when they were just knocking everybody around. You know what I mean? Like there's levels to this. So I say all that to say, people, there's a lot of talent at the bottom, like not at the bottom. I won't say the bottom, because if you take a Cup guy and put him in Cars Tour right now, he's gonna struggle to run top 10. But these are the best. But the fact that he's running top 10 is huge because it's so hard to do that, right? Like it's so hard to just move into a different car, different series, and do that. So if Justin Allgaier wins, he's already should be in the conversation. I think there's a difference too between first ballot, i.e. Kevin Harvick. He should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's he's won now. He's like 11th on the all-time win list. He has a championship. He's won two. I think he's won two O'Reilly's championships, and he's in the top 10 all wins list. I think both in O'Reilly's and trucks. I'd have to check that truck one, and he was an owner. He's a winner. He's a owner champion too in both trucks and O'Reilly. So he's got, the resume is pretty wide. But like sure. Justin Allgaier, if he wins a second championship, it's like, okay, like probably in. If he wins 3, I think he's in. So like, and then I'll tie this up with, we also got to remember the eras. So like to your guys' point about how the Hall of Fame was made. If we had the Hall of Fame for the same amount of time as some of the other Hall of Fames, right? Let's say the Hall of Fame was made in 1980. There is no doubt that Randy LaJoie would be in because he won 2 championships back to back in the time frame of where he did it, how he did it. People would be like, yeah, he's a no-brainer. He came from like up north with racing around the New England area, and now he's down here. Like it would be a no-brainer. The way they were building cars, guys, was basically in a shop that is as big as your parents' garage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what we're talking about. So I think there's levels to it. And like now it might be a little different. Like you need to be completely dominant, and like it has to be obvious because of what we're doing now. But some of those OGs, I think they deserve to be in the champions.
Absolutely. The last thing I got on this is one of the quotes that Denny said that stuck with me is letting non-Cup drivers into the Hall of Fame diminishes the greats. And my counter last point would be that, not letting in the guys that have contributed, whether it be on O'Reilly, trucks, whatever level, is almost like erasing them from the great history of the sport. And the Hall of Fame should be a museum. You want to go in there not knowing everything about the sport, coming away knowing more. And that's exactly what happens when you go to the Hall of Fame in Charlotte. You can pick up each phone and hear about whatever legend it is, whether it's someone you know or recognize or someone you've never heard of. And you can hear their story about why they're there. So to me, that's cool.
You said that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it, and I think it is a fair argument. Like, or there is the best AAA guy is a guy who's thrown 3 AAA perfect games going to make the MLB Hall of Fame? Probably not. So I see where they're coming from, but I of the opinion that
it's not. But I think we got to. I hate. Yeah, Quiggs, I want to get your take on this. I hate that like we compare the lower series to AAA and AA. Because that's not what they are. Like
right.
Even at the late model series, people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars just racing at that level. You know what I mean? Like sprint cars, that's not equal to Cup racing, but those guys are making big time money. So
right.
like I think that part is a little out of touch.
For sure.
Yeah. And like I think to what that was Denny's quote. Like,
yeah,
getting into the Hall of Fame should mean something. It shouldn't be a like everyone's in the Hall of Fame,
right.
Not a participation thing.
Yeah, like you can't have it where people are getting in the Hall of Fame and it like means nothing to you because you're like, oh yeah, like if you had a long enough career and hung around, like you make the NASCAR Hall of Fame, like that should be a thing where it's like, yeah, not everybody gets in, but it's everybody can get in differently, and like those things will be factored in. Like people will factor in that Allgaier was doing it in that level in that series, and that'll work against him for some people, and like will make it harder for him to get in. But like still should have the opportunity, and like there's other people that will respect it and will want him in. Like I don't know. I think it'll work its way out, but it does need to be exclusive and hard to get in. But like I don't think that the exclusivity of it should be you have to have done it in Cup.
If you put listen, man, if you're telling me it's only going to be Cup guys, right? The list that you're putting in is going to shrink very, very quickly, because if you're telling me a Cup guy that won 10 races is more than a Justin Allgaier who's a champion and won 30 races, albeit at the level down, that's a really tough sell.
Yeah. And there's storylines like it's like what would you do, and this is I kind of hate this example before it's even coming out of my mouth. But what would you do with like an SVG if he wins here? Like where you're kind of like it's a guy who dominated another series and he came over to NASCAR and he won in his first like something like that where it's like SVG obviously wouldn't have the stats as some people have, but like he would be a storyline of like he came over to a different sport, won in that level. Like, do those
if he wins 15, or let's say he wins 15 or 20 races and they're all road courses, does he go in? Like
I'm voting yes.
Yeah, because I mean that's where it's like the storyline. It's like a guy came over and it's like he's the best road course racer we've ever seen. Like
is that enough? Like I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that
I think winning in your NASCAR Cup Series debut and then adding 14 other road course wins, I think that is a Hall of Fame resume. I do.
Yeah, but it's like almost not even the resume. It's like the story that goes along with it.
Well, again, that's a Hall of Fame story.
He changed the sport because he changed what everybody's doing.
We got to move on. We can't talk about Hall of Fame.
Whatever, Spider.
No, not your fault. Not your fault. I love your guys' takes, and I value and appreciate them. I don't want to get that misconstrued. You mentioned one thing before that I want to pay a couple minutes to, and that was 16-year-old Max Reeves, who finished second in his ARCA race. He's driving the Cookout car. Cookout, a significant chain of fast food in North Carolina. Quiggs is extremely familiar with.
Is that a fat joke?
No. I mean, that was not a fat joke.
No. I do love Cookout.
Yeah, but he got booed following his second place finish, and he basically compared his 16-year-old self to Kyle Busch and that iconic meme when Kyle Busch like cry-faced the crowd that was booing him. Following, I believe it was a Kyle Busch win. Max Reeves ultimately finished second in what I'm led to believe is the best car in the ARCA field, following what I saw on Twitter. But I wanted to see from you guys, one, did you see this clip? Two, what is your take following this clip from 16-year-old Max Reeves?
I didn't see this, so I'll let Mamba take it.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No.
Okay. I saw the clip.
Paint the picture for us.
So Max, let me take you through it. The last 10 laps of this ARCA race is just phenomenal. Like these guys are trading paint, giving fenders, bumper to bumper. It's everything that you would want in a short track race. Like that's what we were getting. It was actually really awesome. One of the guys that was doing it was Landon S. Huffman, who's Shane Huffman's son. Shane used to drive for Dale Jr. In the Pro Cup Series, had a couple O'Reilly starts. Like he was good in his own right.
And Landon was on Ram Race for the Seat, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct as well, Mamba?
No, that's a different Landon Huffman. That's the other Landon Huffman.
Forgive me.
There's literally two Landon Huffmans.
Okay.
One, it's crazy. So, but they're both from Hickory area, which is also nuts. So, Landon S. Huffman, the younger one, he goes in under Max, gets under him, and then spins out, like almost wrecks them both and whatever. So that's kind of what he was talking about. But when Max is in his interview, he gives credit. He's like, yeah, congrats to the PRG guys. Like they're good stuff and whatever, but they couldn't hold a candle to us. Like we were the best all day. Like that. And like, here's my thing. If somebody that is like a Bubba Pollard is saying this, or like a Steven Nassie, who are other late model greats.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like, you're great. Like, you can say whatever you want to say. But when it's coming from the kid, it's tough. And this was the hard part for me, Quigs. He goes, there's a reason why I'm in this car, not those other cars.
Yeah, he's
The reason is his
got a little
dad
bit of a
owns
head on him.
Cookout, right? Mamba, am I missing something?
The reason is you have the funds to be able to get into that car. Like,
Yeah.
that's the hard part for me. Is like, brother, like, in here, and if he sees this, because we brought it up on our show too, I would say, Max, like, you're always gonna be the rich kid in racing. Like,
Yeah.
people are gonna look down on you for that by itself. Do not give them a reason to really actually hate you. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, now, granted, if you want to, that's all you. But just know it's gonna come with a lot of stuff, and people will race you different. And every time you do something wrong, you will get scrutinized at a high level. So
Right.
I got the opposite advice. It's
Double down.
You're the rich kid, and everybody's gonna see you that way. Cut your wrestling promos, be the bad guy, and just roll with it.
Honestly, I'm here for whatever advice Max chooses. I just thought it was an awesome clip.
It was
Feel
awesome.
any way you want about it. Like I said, do I think it's in his best interest? Probably not. I tend to agree with Mamba and that he's probably going to be, raced differently moving forward. But I also
Do I think it's awesome?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
exactly. Am I with Quigs? Like, where it's like, all right, now there's going to be storylines to follow and drama and like, a wrestling kind of narrative. I'm here for that. I did think it was funny though. I guess my biggest takeaway was like, it was, we've had people on this show be like, oh, Carson Hocevar cosplaying as Dale Jr. And I'm not trying to take a shot at Moonhead. I love Moonhead. I'd say that this if he was still on the show today. But people are mad that Carson Hocevar, sponsor and Chili's, shout out Chili's, wanted to, pay tribute to Dale Earnhardt with a cool fire suit and paint scheme, and they were clutching their pearls about that. There better be this same energy for a 16-year-old kid who hasn't achieved anything other than being born into a rich family that's out here painting himself as the second coming of Kyle Busch. We better be consistent with our energy, folks. That's my one takeaway. I'm somewhere riding the fence. I agree with both Mamba and Quigs in this. I loved seeing the clip, and I can't wait to see what comes following this. This is the most tapped in I've been to ARCA. So thank you, Matt.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the last headline I had from Martinsville following a great race weekend. But there was one last thing. Recently, and I think NASCAR can take a lot from other sports. If we just cherry pick the best parts of each other sport, we could have something very special. Not to say we don't already, but it could be even better. One of those things I think we should cherry pick is I saw an NFL numbers for team consumptions of how many Uncrustables they ate were made public last season, I think. And Barstool, we had a giant fridge put into our office there, what was filled with exclusively Uncrustables, and we tried to break the worst NFL teams' Uncrustable consumption numbers. Where I'm going with this is I heard that all of these NASCAR teams, when they go to Martinsville, essentially have a tab at the concession stand where their team, their pit crew guys, whoever, their driver can essentially walk up and say, hey, I'm with RFK. Can I get 4 hot dogs? And they have a little sheet. Martinsville, if you're listening, I'm begging you, please release the hot dog numbers. We need to know. I need to see what team was doing the most damage. And I need to know, explicitly. I think this would be a great storyline to see who's eating the most Martinsville hot dogs. That's the last thing I got on that, on Martinsville.
No, I think even if they're like, we can't do it, we're not like releasing that. Give us just the numbers with the names crossed out.
Yeah.
And let us guess.
Yeah.
Just give us the list of like, this team had 200, this team had 180, and then Twitter would figure out which team's which.
Absolutely.
Kevin said at some point they had like, it was almost like 40,000 hot dogs were ate altogether, and the record is like 70,000. Which, bro, I'm gonna be dead ass. I do not know how people can put down that many hot dogs. Like, that's nuts.
Well, I hate to go back, but I want to backtrack the Max Reeves thing before we put a bow on Martinsville. Mamba,
Yeah.
you're friendly with all of these drivers, and I loved watching you do
Mhm.
the driver intro, and you had chemistry and rapport with
Nice.
literally every single driver, a unique handshake for each of them, which I was incredibly jealous of as a guy myself that loves rubbing shoulders with these great drivers. My question is like, who is the anti Max Reeves? Is there any kid that was born on third base that's like, you would never know, or that carries themselves like they were raised like the right way despite being born into like maybe immense riches, or maybe a driver that has had an easy route in terms of like they haven't struggled financially, they have been able to fund their own rides, and they do things the right way. Is there a guy at top of mind for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you two.
Please.
One is Brent Cruz.
Okay,
He's
nice.
in the O'Reilly's series right now,
Yep.
driving the 19. It was just his birthday. Actually, his birthday was just this week. So now he can run the rest of the season in the O'Reilly series. He's a great kid, very soft spoken, just a hard racer, like very good kid. And then I know probably people are like, oh, of course you say this, but honestly, Keelan Harvick, and it's easy for me to say this because I've watched Keelan grow up from the time he was like 3 or 4 years old,
Yeah.
and been around him. And he is just very nice to everybody. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'ams. Like obviously he's Keelan Harvick. Like they got it. They're bred. They got it.
Yeah.
But like he does what all normal kids do. They play around, they do all the same stuff. Like he just those things haven't clicked. I think he knows that he's in a very fortunate situation. I think his parents do a very good job of letting him know.
Yeah.
But like it does not like it goes to their head. And even when you talk to Kevin or Delana, they don't. It's not like they don't flaunt whatever they have or what they've built, because they built it from pretty much nothing. Kevin was couch surfing at one point, so you know.
Yeah, well, that's great to see, great to hear, and those are two guys I'm going to be rooting for as well. Two kids, I should say, not even guys.
Yeah,
Two kids with a lot of promise and potential. Two of the best prospects in the sport right now, and refreshing to hear that they have the right values off the track. With that being
sure.
said, that's Martinsville in the rear view. Let's go to our interview with Ryan Preece. Pumped to be joined alongside Ryan Preece. Ryan, welcome to Rubbin is Racing. How we doing?
Yeah, we're doing good. It's obviously the off week, but there's still plenty of stuff going on.
Yeah, 7 races into this season. I would say you're doing pretty damn well. From my records, you were one of only a couple drivers to finish every single of those 7 races on the lead lap. What's been different about this year, Ryan?
I mean, we've been consistent. We haven't had the breakout runs that we truly wanted, but at the same time, we've been getting stage points. We've been finishing the races and doing all the things that you need to do to be consistent. Outside of that, though, we have so much potential and a lot of things to look forward to moving forward and for the rest of the rest of the season and the next few months. So I'm I feel really, really good about the level of communication that our team has, as far as how we all gel together. And right now, I think we're just trying to be aggressive, execute races, and hopefully, clicking off some top tens, top fives, and competing for wins.
I love it. And, it's been cool to see RFK this year. Not only yourself have success, but all 3 drivers currently in the top 5 or top 15 rather, excuse me, in standings. How much is it helpful to have all of your cars competitive? Like you said, I feel like any given week, RFK could steal and add a trophy like the ones we see behind you there, Ryan.
Yeah, well, the narrative going into the season, from what I saw, was always JGR, Penske, Hendrick. And I know Brad has a flame. He's got a fire inside of him to be part of that conversation. So, as a race car driver driving for RFK, with Jack Roush, Brad Keselowski, and the Fenway Group, it's it's really nice to be pushing performance, on all sides, whether it's making better, more aggressive decisions on our part driving, or, everybody's pulling their weight. So, I've really been enjoying that and seeing the work ethic that Brad has as a team owner, as a driver, and in all facets of what it takes to have a successful race team. So that's been really good. And yeah, you saw a lot of potential at Darlington. Brad and Chris both qualified well, and we had to kind of dig ourselves out of a hole. And at one point in time, you saw the potential of what all three of our cars have. So I'm eager to see the rest of the next 2-3 months and just see how high the ceiling can really be.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious to know, like, in a guy that's in a midst of, the opposite of a slump, I guess a hot streak, whatever you want to call it, like consistent results. Um, how do you feel about this off week? I know obviously 36 consecutive weeks is a big commitment, but are you of the opinion like, dog, I'm hitting home runs every night. Let's keep racing, or are you like, let's take the 7 races, the little sample size we got. Let's go back to the drawing board, reevaluate, double down, and see how we can continue to be consistent. Where is your mind at right now?
Double down. I love that. So I'm aggressive, and me as a racer, I would race every day of every week of every month of every year if I could. I think this is just this is a nice break for a lot of the guys, the men and women that are in the shop, that are putting these race cars together. So it kind of gives them the ability to breathe and take a breath and catch up or get ahead. So that's really nice. But I am, if I could keep going, I would. I wouldn't slow down, but by no means, I'm not sitting down doing anything. I had the opportunity to go to Lake Placid,
That's
do the
my next
luge.
question.
So I was able to do the luge. I've been doing a couple things. I'm guest bartending tonight on
Oh, wow.
Wednesday in Connecticut. So I'm gonna be mixing some drinks, handing some beer out, and having a little fun. So it's I've been staying busy.
I love it. So what specifically was going on with that luging thing? I saw you and it looked like Connor Zilish were on bobsleds or luges or something. Walk me through what was going on there at Lake Placid.
Yeah, so we were on sleds, where there is no steering wheel, there is no brake pedal, there is no gas pedal. I guess you can steer off the front lead, whatever. I can't remember what they're called, but both Connor and I went up there and spent a day and a half experiencing what these Olympians do. And what I'm going to tell you is I'm glad I'm a race car driver that has a steering wheel and a brake pedal, because we did post some content on our channels, and I think you saw there was a moment where the camera actually shut off, but it got a little hairy, and I thought I was like, man, how am I going to make this call to Brad and Jack and Chip? Like, whew, I had a real uh-oh moment, but boy, it was a lot of fun. And it was something that I probably would have never experienced hadn't I had this opportunity from NASCAR to go spend the time with everybody up there with the USA luge team and experience all the things that they go through. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I did have a weight advantage on Connor, I will say that.
A little bit more downforce. I
Yeah.
think it's super cool to see the kind of experiences that, like you said, NASCAR drivers get some cool perks, whether it be getting to fly in a fighter jet at a naval base ahead of San Diego or street race, or
Hey,
something like this. So I
how
guess,
about though when I drove the Crown Vic at Dega? That's an experience that
yeah.
nobody can buy. Like, that was ridiculous. That was so much fun.
Would you how do you feel about entering a Crown Vic race at the Freedom Factory? I have Cletus coming on the show next week. Is that something you think RFK would greenlight, or you would even potentially entertain?
Oh, I actually already did a Crown Vic race at Stafford for their New England 900. So I got to beat doors with Cletus, with Biff, with Jack Stan Jimmy, with all those guys. So we had a lot of fun there. But would I do it at the Freedom Factory? Absolutely, as long as I can get the thumbs up, which I don't think would be a problem because Brad and Chris both had the time of their life. But it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Certainly cool to watch. Speaking of cool to watch, I'm excited. As much as you said, it's a much needed break for the men and women of these race teams, which I completely agree. There's much more than just the drivers who want to race, race, race. There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes. So refreshing to hear you acknowledge that. But I guess my question is, Rockingham. Talk to me about Rockingham. and how that would, do at the cup level.
Oh, with the cup level? I
Current
mean,
day.
yeah. To be honest with you, I feel like that there's a few tracks that you could definitely rotate every year or so to kind of keep that energy level of that market wanting it. You can't just flood it right away. That's how I
Yeah.
feel like that spark kind of dies out. But for me, Rockingham is a racetrack that the Cup Series went to for a long time, and I would love to see it back on the schedule in one way or another, whether it was an exhibition, whether it was a points race or whatnot. But that's a challenging racetrack. And I think that one, all of us as race car drivers would definitely love going to.
That is pretty much all I have for you now today, Ryan. I'm going to let you go and enjoy the remaining break you have. But the last thing I got for you is I can't get enough of the trophies behind you. If there's a trophy being lifted from Ryan Preece this year, is there a certain track that comes to mind that you feel most confident in your ability to win at? Or you have certain dates circled like, hey, I feel good. RFK's got me hooked up for this particular race.
Man, right now, RFK, I feel like every week has the opportunity to win, and I'm not just saying that. I feel like that's just like the go-to answer by every driver. But between Bristol, Kansas, which actually I just realized this, Kickstand Cocktails is on my hat. They're going to be sponsoring us at Kansas Speedway, so I would love
Nice.
to go out and have a win for them. That would be cool. But being a New England guy, living and breathing Connecticut and New England sports, and really just everything about the racing up here, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I don't think any other driver would say, "Hey, man, if you could lift any trophy," they'd say Daytona 500. They'd say,
Yeah.
Brickyard or whatnot. But the meaning to me to win at a track that I grew up going to, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, yeah, that'd be right up there.
That would be cool. I'm pulling for Ryan Preece at New Hampshire and the Yukon Huskies here in Indy this Final Four. Hopefully, both of our
Oh,
Connecticut guys can get it done. So, Ryan, thank you so much. We appreciate your time for coming on Rubbin is Racing this week, and stay hot, dog. Keep that consistent flame going. Like you said, RFK is a threat week after week, and we love watching you wheel the thing. Continued success, Ryan. Thanks again.
thanks, man. We're ready to throw some gas to that fire.
I love it. Zoom, zoom. That was Ryan Preece. Thanks so much to Ryan Preece for coming on the show. We wish him continued success. He's been driving his ass off this year. Hopefully, this interview does not mush him. But love Ryan Preece. I want to say we haven't had the best luck with drivers this year. A lot of guys are a little bit less willing to talk than usual.
We also usually get the winner, and the same guys won half of the races.
That is also true.
That is also a thing.
I do want to give flowers to Ryan Preece, a guy who I've been friendly with the last couple of years, both Connecticut guys. He reached out to me a couple of weeks ago and was like, hey, I'd love to come on the podcast whenever next available. So I love the guys that are seeking me out instead of saying no when I seek them out. So shout out Ryan Preece, a guy that's super easy to root for, been overachieving, and I'm going to continue to root for him. Great to have him on the show.
Absolutely. I love Preece. He's such a good dude.
Hell yeah. With that being said, we are going to go to pick the tires. Let's pick some winners. There's no race this week. Happy Easter, everyone. Well, I should say we have O'Reilly Auto Parts Series as well as the Truck Series from Rockingham Speedway, which I want to hear from you guys if there's anything that you like in those races. Otherwise, we will give some championship futures for the Cup Series. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of NASCAR, is delivering the most generous rewards in the market, no matter what happens on track, because this isn't a race you bet and forget. It's one you react to. Lap by lap, caution by caution, live odds, stage winners, next driver to lead as the pack tightens, as strategies shift, as engines roar. One restart can change everything, as it did for me last week with Denny Hamlin, RIP. One pit stop can flip the field. So don't just watch the unexpected, bet it. New to DraftKings, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. That's code Rubbin, Rubbin. If you sign up with code Rubbin, You get $5, turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly. Thanks so much to our partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. So, Mamba, I got to ask you, we're a couple races into this season. As Quiggs just mentioned, we've seen the same guy win more than half of the races we've seen this season. That being said, Tyler Reddick on on DraftKings Sportsbook is still plus 600 and the third favorite to win. They have Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson with shorter odds to ultimately win the NASCAR Cup Series championship this year. Where's your head at just 7 races into this season? Who's your favorite as of now to win the championship?
Man, it's tough. I would be looking at Kevin's he's gonna slap me when I say this. Ryan Blaney, man.
Yeah.
Ryan Blaney has been consistently really fast. I think Denny Hamlin too. But and it's for me, it's kind of like the Cowboys with Denny. Until I see it, I just don't believe it. I just feel like he's always gonna get close and then not finish it off. But I would look at Ryan Blaney for sure. Tyler Reddick, I'm interested to see if they can keep it going all year. If there's any fall off during the summer, and if there is, when do they get it clicking back going again? And also the Hendrick cars, like when are they going to show up? They're going to continue to get better. It's kind of like what we talked about at the beginning of the show. When you're out in front, it's hard to. Sometimes you get not complacent, but like your stuff's good, so you're not working the same as the guys that are running 10th, right? Well, the Hendrick cars, they're all 4 teams are working hard to get their stuff better. So I would wonder where they're going to be, and they're going to be in the mix before it's over. I think at the beginning of this year, I picked C. Bell to win the championship. He was a big proponent of the points change. It's been not terrible, just not great yet from them. But I think Ryan Blaney kind of should be people's favorite right now.
I love where your head's at, and Quiggs, I'm going to get to you, but real quick, Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell, 2 guys that I feel like every year are knocking on the door down the line in the playoffs, are both north of plus 750. Ryan Blaney is plus 750 currently on DraftKings, and Christopher Bell, who would probably be the second or third favorite to win the season championship if the season started today, fresh, is currently 8-1 plus 800. So I think there's a lot of good value in those numbers. And the other thing I would say is don't discount the Fords. Blaney plus 750, and even I have Joey Logano plus 1400. I think that looks good right now. Again, this has not been the start to the season you want if you're a Joey Logano fan, but this is an even number year. And between Blaney and Logano in the last couple of years, they seemingly turn it on down the line when it matters most. The other guys I'm looking at, Denny Hamlin, I think this could be, it's now or never for Denny. It sounds like, and again, I'm not breaking news, it sounds like maybe next season when his contract expires, that might be quitting time permanently, at least based on the tweets from Alan Cavana that I saw previously this season. So I would love to see Denny win a championship, obviously. That's no secret. But as I said, I think maybe a week or 2 ago, it would be really cool to see him win the championship in his final race next season at the championship, ride off into the sunset. But he has led more laps than anyone else this season, 444 laps led. He's got 4 top 10s to show for it, 3 top 5s. Super bullish on Denny Hamlin. The other guy I would mention is, and this, I don't expect him to win the championship, but I wanted to get your take on this. Ty Gibbs has been running unbelievable. He's been running unbelievable. In 7 races this year, he's got 5 top 10s, 4 top 5s. He's only led 18 laps, but this is day and night from what we saw from Ty Gibbs last year. Mamba, what is the ceiling for this 54 car and Ty Gibbs this season? And are you buying or selling this theory I'm seeing on Twitter that Joe Gibbs has swapped out Chase Briscoe and Ty Gibbs equipment prior to this 2026 season?
I am definitely selling that second part. They didn't swap out anything. Ty was good at the end of last year too. I think Briscoe has had a lot of bad luck, and I'm nervous about them making it into the chase, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because they were just not fast at all. But the fact that your teammates have been so fast, you can get that ship kind of turned around. James Small, his crew chief, is super, super smart and is a hard worker, and he's going to get that thing going right. Ty Gibbs has been on a run, man. He's been on a heater. I think the ceiling for Ty Gibbs is the rounds are we don't do rounds now, so it's a little different. So I used to be able to be like, oh, I think the round of 8, right? But now it's like, I think the ceiling is probably top 5 in points. And by top 5, I mean like maybe like 5th, 4th, somewhere between 4th and 7th probably is where I think Ty Gibbs is going to end up, because I think the speed is going to continue. And I think he's going to get a win, at least one win this year. So that's kind of why I'm at with him.
Quigs, let's go to you. Who are your championship favorites 7 races into the season? Is there anyone you have your eyes out for? Maybe some long shot value? And also, what is your take on this Twitter theory I saw that Joe Gibbs might have swapped out the equipment? Again, I'm not believing this. I'm just reporting that I saw a tweet that suggested this.
I would think I'm believing it less than you are.
Okay.
If you're not believing it. But yeah, no, I don't think there's anything. I think it's funny. But no. I mean, Gibbs has just been good this year. It's been coming. But for my futures, which we've talked about this before, I hate betting NASCAR futures. I don't think the value
it's almost
is there.
impossible.
And NASCAR does a great job of there's a distinct line of guys who could genuinely win it, and then that's when you start getting the good odds is right after that. But if I had to take one of the chalkier guys, I think I'd go Chase Elliott. I've talked about it back before we had the same system of just he's a guy that you can kind of watch the races. It doesn't even feel like he's having that great of performances, and you look at the standings and he's second, and it's like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess he's finishing like 4th to 6th in every race that we have and just points people to death. And he's a guy that could, I think, go super far in this and just stay away from the DNFs and not even have a crazy number of wins, but like could win the whole thing. So that would be my my favorite bet. And then
he's my breakout guy of the year. Like if I picked a guy that would be a breakout season, he's my breakout season guy.
This might be the start.
Who do you guys think wins first? Ty Gibbs, Carson Hocevar, another driver who has yet to win. Ryan Preece.
I'm going Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, I think Ty Gibbs is.
Yeah,
I think he wins in the next 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible to see what he's been able to do.
I'd have to look at the tracks, but he's
I'm gonna
right
tell you
there.
what. I got him at Bristol.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so good at Bristol. He had it won last year. Sped on pit road. Their cars are good at Bristol. Denny's good at Bristol. Like the Gibbs cars are good at Bristol, and I think momentum's a real thing. And when you're hitting it, and then you run into a track that you like.
Yeah. And again, but before we put a bow on this, I want to make it abundantly clear: I do not believe the theories that I quoted. Just for the record, this was from @PsychedAlex68 on Twitter. If Joe Gibbs wants to proceed with litigation, please do not name me.
They're not afraid to do that. Be careful. They ain't afraid to litigate.
I'm trying to tiptoe, but I'm saying, like, I've been a Ty Gibbs fan. I remain a Ty Gibbs fan. Obviously last season left a little bit to be desired. I love to see where he's at this year, and I tend to agree with you guys. He's knocking on the door, and hopefully we'll be in the win column here very shortly. But on the flip side of the coin, now let's talk about some unflattering things. Is there anyone that you think needs to turn it around immediately, or you're highly concerned about? Maybe not highly, but even, is there anyone you're concerned about? And I wanted to, again, quote another tweet that I bookmarked from this weekend regarding William Byron. And I'm going to work to find it. But while I do, I want you guys to answer, was there anyone that you're concerned about?
I'm concerned about RCR as a whole.
Yeah.
I think they're in a really weird spot because I don't think Kyle Busch has forgot how to drive race cars. I think he's still one of the best to ever to strap in. You can put, but the combination just has fallen apart. It's not working. I don't know. They got to really consider everyone's future and what the Kyle needs to consider his future, and then the team needs to consider their future. Like, I don't think if you put Jesse Love in that car right now, it's gonna be any better. You know what I mean? So they got some things they got to figure out for sure. I'm worried about them guys because I know they're working hard to be better, and there's like little flickers of hope, and then it just for a whole weekend it doesn't seem to come together. And then like I said before, the 19 of Briscoe, like they're super fast, they have the speed. I'm just concerned about the consistency that we haven't seen from them yet. With the other system, you knew you could win and then you could figure out from there. This one, you got, if you're not within like eighth, because the way the points reset, if you're not within like eighth, it's going to be real tough for you to win this championship.
How about you, Quigs? Anyone at top of mind that if you were a fan of, you'd be concerned of about where they sit just 7 races into the season?
Both the names Mamba said were ones that I would have brought up. Kind of unfairly, but and I think it's a little bit of like I bought the hype, drank the Kool-Aid. But like, I don't know, I've seen good runs from him, and I feel like Zilich could be in a better spot in the standings than he is, and like probably will as the year goes on pick it up. But he's just way lower than I thought he would be. Like I thought he'd be sitting around closer to the 25 mark than the 35 mark. And it'll like he'll get some road courses where his points will shoot up. And I don't know, a lot of that's like DNFs and just tough runs. But beyond the name, like Busch, I agree. Like he still knows how to drive a car, but he's not getting any better at it. And the longer he's in this situation, it's starting to feel like if Kyle doesn't get out of this situation, like we may never see him win again.
Mamba does
just time wise, and like I don't know how much.
Does Kyle Busch wheel? Does Kyle Busch wheel the 8 car next year, Mamba?
I don't think so. Unless something drastic changes. Like the problem is for Kyle, like where are you going to go?
Right.
Like there's no, like the top seats are unavailable. You know what I mean? So, and he needs to be in a top seat, I think, to remind everybody who he is. And I just don't know what that means. If it was me, this is what I would do. If I had any control over the Rams situation, I would call Kyle. I would say, hey, how much? I would also call Mars and say, hey, let's do this little campaign. Because Kyle Busch is going to get in our truck. We're going to win a championship. He's going to be the first guy to win championship in all 3. It's going to be epic. And how prettier would it be if it was in an Eminem's truck?
I love where your head's at, Mamba.
And then, here's the other thing. If Stellantis, because we know that they've talked about what Cup would look like in a couple years. So you win with Kyle. Now he's in your deal. And then you get Kyle to help you build out what your Cup team should really be like.
Yeah.
And you can put him back up if you want to.
Let me ask you this.
I think that's an unbelievable plan.
That's a great plan. Let me do you one better. And what % chance in your brain, Mamba, is there a world in which Kyle Busch goes back to Toyota and is wheeling the third 2311 car next season?
Whoa.
Imagine a lineup of Bubba, Tyler, and Kyle in competitive cars that with a team that's here and now winning in the moment. I think that is the closest thing to Kyle Busch getting back to in good equipment. I think it's wildly unrealistic, but I would love to see Denny maybe throw Kyle a bone here for a year or two.
I would say it's like a 0.1%.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as close to 0 as it can be, because realistically, the issue is, can you find sponsorship for Kyle? Can you find enough sponsorship for Kyle? That's the first one. Second, Riley Herbst has a ton of partnership value.
Yeah.
Right.
And I
And
love
you
Riley
don't
too.
even
I love Riley.
yeah. And Riley's getting better. Like
Yeah.
he is like getting better. So like, and you don't even have a place for Corey Heim right now. So I think that's an impossible task. I think Toyota's full. I don't know. I don't know where he's gonna end up. That's the thing.
What about that 48 seat?
I think Alex Bowman is gonna be in the 48 again next year. I say that based off of the fact that they haven't put anybody else but Justin Allgaier in it, and Justin's not gonna be in it next year. You know what I mean? Like Justin's not getting that call. So if you aren't going to put, if you're not gonna move on from Alex, right? If you were, you would already put in your Sammy Smith, your Sheldon Creed, your whoever you thought it was, right? Because you'd start working on that now. Why wouldn't you get them reps? So you're gonna get somebody that you have no reps with to drive that thing next year. That doesn't make sense. So I think Alex.
That's a very interesting. That's a very interesting tidbit, Mamba, and I'm inclined to agree with you just based on the evidence you presented. But yeah, I definitely tend to agree, as well as the concern, the highest level of concern lies in Kyle Busch. And as a Kyle Busch fan, obviously we want to see the best for him. But one driver that I saw a tweet about, and this tweet is from Keg and Co. By this point in 2022, Byron had won one race. In 23, at this point, he had 2 races won. At this point in 24, he had another 2 races won. And in this point in 2025, just a year ago, he had 1 race won. Right now in 2026, he currently sits with 0 wins. Are you guys concerned about William Byron? Is this just a weird anomaly?
I would say that the last 2 years, he's the back-to-back Daytona 500 champion.
Yeah.
So having one race won, and one of them, or the one, being the Daytona 500 to this point, you know what I mean? Like,
for sure. Yeah, but at the same
really...
time, that's one of the most wildly unpredictable races, right?
Yeah, true.
Playing devil's advocate here. I'm not personally concerned.
I just think that that's not a very good judge of where they're at. Now, I do think they are not where they want to be as a whole. I think they've all talked about that. You look at Hendrick as a whole, they finally got their first win of the year, right? Period. And honestly, this was the first time they were really in position to win a race all year. So I'm not worried about William Byron specifically, because I think I think he's going to be just fine.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it's just 7 races in. I'm not worried about Byron either, but just some things to think about 7 races into the season. Some other things to think about without the Cup Series racing this week. Is there anyone you guys have your eyes out on in the Truck Series or O'Reilly? And I know the odds, we're recording on Tuesday, so the odds are not live on DraftKings Sportsbook. They will be. Keep your eyes out. But off the top, is there anything that comes to mind? Should I just blindly ride with Gator again? It seems like he's found momentum.
Yeah, take Gator.
Yeah, I mean, do the 7 until the 7 stops hitting, I guess, because
I love
he's
that.
been a dog. I will say Sammy Smith and Jesse Love here were really good last year. And then this is one of my favorite racetracks, especially on iRacing, NASCAR 25. Like, I don't know, there's something about that game and on the game, how great Rockingham is. I don't know, it's really fun to race on that one. So it's gonna be a good weekend even without the Cup Series.
Yeah, I love that Rockingham and the Truck Series and O'Reilly are getting kind of main event treatment in the absence of Cup Series this weekend. But that's all we got for Rubbin is Racing this week. Thanks so much to our guy Mamba for coming on, the ultimate substitute, the replacer, whatever you want to call him. He's our guy. He's always welcome on Rubbin is Racing. We appreciate him so much. Mamba, continued success. Thank you. We also want to give a quick thank you to Ryan Preece. We appreciate him giving us some of his time. And also stay tuned for next week, in which we will have Cletus McFarland on the podcast. So super pumped about that. Yeah. Everyone keeps asking, when's Cletus coming on? When's Cletus coming on? Well, folks, he's coming on next week. We're not going to have a traditional episode. It will just be a little bit more of an abbreviated episode with that interview. So hope everyone has a happy Easter and enjoys the weekend. Thanks again to Mamba and Ryan Preece. That was Rubbin is Racing.
Peace.
Hi, Mom.
Awesome. Thanks. I
Dope.
kind of, as much as I said stretch it out, I kind of was